G'day trendsetters, great to see you again. What I want to do today, in the spirit of the KISS principle, which is keep it simple, Stuart. If you're starting a new veggie garden or you're sowing seeds for the first time or just coming back into it, I often find the best thing to do is not to overwhelm yourself with a huge variety. Just minimize it to 3, 4, or in this case 5 different types of vegetables, salad leaves that you want to grow. And I've chosen these ones because they'll grow quickly and you can grow them more than one way. So the whole idea is to minimize the amount of time before harvest, and then also to keep that harvest going for as long as possible with consecutive sowings. What I've got is a kale, a rocket, a lettuce, and not a heart-forming lettuce. This is just the leaf lettuce, so it doesn't form a heart, it just grows leaves. Spinach, these are probably the slowest of the bunch, but worth persisting with, I suppose. And radish. Now, the thing is, with all of these, you can plant them in little pots like I've got here. These are just little 100ml pots. I've just got them filled with good quality potting mix. Don't buy the rubbish. If you buy cheap rubbish potting mix, you get cheap rubbish results. So with things like radish, you can grow them in here as a microgreen. That's what the pots are for, is mainly microgreens. And that'll get you started, and once they're up you can harvest and you've got the leaf, and you can do that weekly. And at the same time, if you've got a garden bed, a prepared garden bed, just follow the directions on the pack. That's all you need to do. Don't need to get fancy or technical about it. And you can, so at the same time you plant these in the garden. So while you're cutting leaves, these are growing and you'll have little radish. Now eventually you can just shave them off, throw them in your salad, and you've got a bit more crunch in your salad. Spinach is mainly a leaf crop, but you can do the same. You can sow them as a microgreen. So sow them thickly in the pot. We'll go through that in a minute. But also at the same time plant some in your garden, and do in the microgreen pots, do them weekly. In the garden, once a month, do a fresh sowing, but that's mainly a winter crop. Lettuce is the same, microgreens, but at the same time I wouldn't sow these. At the same time you can sow them and get them ready to be planted in the garden, and you've got bigger plants and longer lasting plants and a longer lasting harvest. Rocket, it's not called rocket for no reason, one of the fastest growing. And kale. Kale also makes a great microgreen. So does broccoli, by the way, if you can get the seed. And you can start them and get them ready to go into your garden bed. So all of these you can either sow direct, probably radish I would sow direct into the garden. Rocket I would sow direct in the garden. Spinach I would sow direct in the garden. Kale, I might do a direct in the garden and the punnet just to cover my bases. There's 300 seeds there. You're not losing anything by trying to cover all your bases. And lettuce, I would probably only really start those in a punnet and then transplant them into your garden later on. So I hope I covered it all in that bit of intro. What I'm trying to do is so as not to overwhelm yourself. Just keep it simple and keep it minimized. I've got other seeds that I'll show in future videos how you can expand your garden, but this is just a way to get started, and probably the easiest, or one of the simplest ways. And all we need to do so this is radish. You don't need a lot, it's only a 100ml pot, so this is probably 2 pinches of seeds. And that will get you started in radish. I've got some coarse river sand. You can just cover that lightly, 2 or 3 mils over the top. You don't want to cover it with a lot, and that'll be good. I've got some coarse washed river sand here, which I prefer to use. I just think it allows the water through to the seed quicker and easier, and it also allows the seed to pop up and germinate a lot easier. And it also, I find it quite easy to identify when the soil surface is dry, because sand will look dry as soon as it is dry, and when you notice that, you need to come out and water. All of these, if you're doing this, all that you will need to regular them water, and you probably can't really overwater them, but with a watering can on a warm autumn day, twice a day, in the morning and then after lunch, 2-3 o'clock, and when it's really warm and they're at the risk of drying out. Kale, all the same. All of these would be pretty much the same now. Yep, all of these seeds are about the same size. So just a couple of pinches. On the top, do this one. Oh, something else you really need to do, and I haven't got my marking pen here, but I'll put the packet under each pot so as I can remember, but you need to label your pots, otherwise you will forget what you've got in which pot. Okay, so that's radish and kale done. This is spinach, which is a slightly bigger seed. And same again, pinch, 2 pinches, I think is more than enough in a 100 ml pot. Cover them. Watering, I mentioned before about watering, you're going to need to water. The other thing you'll need to do, at least with small plants that grow quickly, is to liquid fertilize weekly at least. I use, if I can find it, power feed. I like to use tomato and vegetable liquid fertilizer by power feed. It gives you 20 mils, 1 capful, 20 mils, in approximately a 9 litre watering can. Will cover 2 to 4 square metres, but just a watering can once a week with a cap full of power feed in it, and that works equally as well for pots as it does for in garden situations, and it really does work. Okay, so that was spinach. So I just got rocket and lettuce left to do. Another thing I'd like to mention, get these glasses off, is like I'm under a shady tree here, so you don't want to leave these under a shady tree. But if you can put them in a, like if you're just on a balcony, that's fine, or a windowsill, that's fine. If you've got a bit more room, try and give them morning sun up until probably 1 or 2 o'clock. Try and keep that really hot afternoon sun off of them. They're only in a little pot. They're not going to last forever. And that hot afternoon sun's a bit harsh. So yeah, just full sun for sure, or as bright as possible. Most of these don't mind a little bit of shade, but don't sort of stick them under the shade of a tree. Dappled light, really bright dappled light is good. A couple of others here which I think deserve an honourable mention. They are pak choi. Again, you could grow it as a microgreen, and also at the same time start them in your garden. If you only got a small, if there's 2 of you, mum, dad and a child or a teenager, whatever, you don't need to grow like a whole big row. You probably only need to plant, say, 4 seeds a week. That's plenty of pak choi per week. So you're not going to need a lot of room, but you need to plan ahead a bit so as you can have room to sow successively on a weekly basis. But that's pak choi. That's a good one. Silver beet. This is Bright Lights. It's got all the coloured multi stems. Again, you can do those as a microgreen, and also in the garden. Probably wouldn't really need to have any sort of a succession plan for these. One sowing will keep you going for 3 to 4 months, and then I would probably at the end of 3 to 4 months start again. All you do with these when you harvest is just pick the outer leaves off, and that's what you take inside, so you don't pull the whole plant up, you're just pulling the outside leaves off and using the leaves. And peas, these, if your lettuce, as a microgreen, if you're waiting for your lettuce to grow, I really love egg and lettuce sandwiches, but I'll tell you, I don't mind an egg and pea shoot sandwich as well. It's also a great garnish over mashed potatoes or whatever, and they will be up. By the end of 3 weeks, you'll be picking those. So if you did it weekly, from within 3 weeks, you'll have a weekly supply of microgreen peas. And also at the same time, if you've got the space out in the garden, follow the directions on the back of the pack, bung them in the garden, and you'll have nice peas. These are early crop Massey. They only grow 2 foot tall, which is good for a little small garden like I've got. In my experience, the main reason why anything fails, seeds or seeds sown direct in the garden, is not enough water. Around here, or probably anywhere in Australia as far as I know, when we don't get rain and we hand water with a garden hose, the soil will crust. And once the soil gets a crust on it, the water doesn't penetrate through into the seed and into the soil. I've got no idea where it goes. You can stand there for a fortnight and water it and it's dry. So you've got to break that crust up before you water, and then water and make sure the water's going through. If you see it puddle on the top at all, you'll know you've got some sort of crusting going on, and you need to I usually just get in there with my fingers and just tease the top of the soil, and then continue my way, watering can or a garden hose. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there. I think that's enough. I've got sort of the next step you want to move on to is probably your root crops, your carrots, turnips, the Swedes if you like Swedes, parsnip. I wouldn't try parsnips, so they're a hard crop to get started. So what did I say? Carrot, parsnips, beetroot, stuff like that. And then after that, you're looking at things like potatoes, and at this time of year, that's probably about it. Just keeping the KISS principle alive without overwhelming yourself. As the years go by, you can expand, and your experience grows, and your knowledge grows, and your confidence grows, and you can get bigger and bigger and bigger. So keep it simple, Sally. Keep it simple, Stuart. I don't like the proper KISS principle, which is keep it simple, stupid. We don't go there. Just pick your favourite S name and go with that. Please like and subscribe. Every one of you helps the channel grow, helps me to make more videos like this. Also, in the comments below, if you've got a question, or if there's something you'd like to know, or something you'd like me to make a video of, please let me know. I'm more than happy to do that. I'm not running out of ideas, but it does give me a bit more motivation to get out there, knowing that somebody really wants to know something, and hopefully I can help them with that. All right, cheers and bye for now. Yeah. Oh, lettuce. I'm only going to put 1 pinch on there.